Mr. Santiago, you're up. You have two bills on suspense and one due pass and one due pass as amended to clarify advertising zones. What's your pleasure?
I'd waive to present on the suspended files.
Thank you so much. Please proceed.
Sure. I'd like to first begin with AB 913. AB 913 would ensure that campus and local law enforcement would have agreements in place to outline responsibilities as it relates to sexual assault and hate crimes.
Move the bill. Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Witnesses in support. Witnesses, individuals from the public in support. Witnesses in opposition. Individuals from the public in opposition. Department of Finance.
No file.
No file. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. This bill is out on an A roll call.
Thank you. Second bill I'd like to present on is AB 1373. AB 1373 would allow the use of revenue-generating advertisement within a small area of downtown Los Angeles.
Move the bill.
Known
Second.
as the Avenue of the Angels. And I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
We have a motion and a second. Witnesses in support. Individuals from the public in support. Witnesses in opposition. Individuals from the public in opposition. Department of Finance.
Mr. Chair, the Department of Finance is opposed to this bill because the state could be at risk of noncompliance with federal requirements regarding outdoor advertising displays. That's the Federal Highway Beautification Act. This bill may not comply with a strict interpretation of the Act. The penalty for noncompliance with the Act, however, is 10% of a state's federal aid highway funds, or approximately $360 million annually for California.
Any questions or comments? I have a quick comment on this bill. We had an exact, almost identical bill a few years ago with Senator Padilla. They had suggested some similar concerns. We found those concerns not to be valid, and we have any of those concerns have not been, they haven't come to fruition. So, Mr. Santiago, thank you for presenting on this bill. Individuals, committee members, questions or comments? Mr. Bigelow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Santiago. Unfortunately, today I won't be able to support your bill. As the chairman articulated, in the past we saw a bill that was very similar to this, and it was limited to event centers, and that was the particular discussion at that time, and to not expand it beyond the broadness as your bill does now. So because of that consistency, I won't be able to support that. And as you heard, the Department of Finance's issue, it will, I believe, trigger a tremendous amount of impact from the federal dollars. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. And
sure, I thank you for that, but may I answer?
Please proceed.
Sure. This particular bill is consistent with the last one, and the City of Los Angeles plans to develop that particular area. So I do believe that it's consistent. Two, the bill has provisions that if any federal dollars were to be at stake, within 60 days the sign would be removed, and it is included within this particular bill to address that concern. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Would you like to close?
I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Santiago. We have a due pass motion. We have a second. This bill's out on an A roll call with Mr. Bigelow. No, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Irwin. Ms. Irwin, you have two bills on suspense. What's your pleasure?
Thank you, Chair Gomez. I'm going to be waiving presentation on AB 449. And AB 255 creates the Office of Internal Audits for Veteran Affairs within the California Department of Veteran Affairs. The Chief Auditor will provide the Secretary with an effective, useful tool for finding efficiencies, identifying savings, and providing internal oversight. Since a similar position was eliminated in 2004, challenges for California's estimated 1.8 million veterans have changed tremendously. The department has also grown significantly to meet these challenges. The 2 state veterans homes have grown to a system of 8. There are now 2 state veterans cemeteries operated by CalVet, and a 3rd site is being evaluated. There are far too many activities that the department performs to list them all. However, in addition to the homes and the cemeteries, some of the department's larger roles are approving schools' eligibility for GI Bill funds, programs for incarcerated veterans, and a Veterans Services Division which performs many functions, including administering funding for the county Veterans Service officers. Unfortunately, the department has been scrutinized for issues that include the administration of morale, welfare, and recreation funds, cost overruns in the veterans' health care information systems, questions concerning veterans' homes not being at full capacity, the lack of a kitchen at the West LA Veterans Home, the overall cost of the homes, and the lack of implementing regulations and other matters. Since the growth of the department's role and the number of programs it supports, the rapid growth of the homes system and its costs, the Office of Internal Audits is warranted here. This bill will help provide needed oversight during a period of transition and focus on identifying cost savings within the department. Thank you, and I hope you will view this bill favorably while it's on suspense.
Thank you so much, Ms. Irwin. Witnesses in support, individuals from the public in support, witnesses in opposition, individuals from the public in opposition, Department of Finance.
No file.
No file. Questions or comments for committee members? Ms. Eggman.
Thank you. I'd just like to express that I think when it is appropriate, this bill should move forward. As somebody who's a veteran and served on the Veterans Committee for the last 2.5 years and heard a lot of hearings on this topic, I think this is imperative so that we can really provide the veterans the care that they need in an equitable way throughout the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Eggman. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Irwin, would you like to close?
I just hope for your support.
This bill will be is on suspense. We'll give it due consideration when we take up the suspense file. Thank you so much.
Mr. Gomez.
Mr. Dolly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I'm presenting on AB 590.
This bill is on suspense, but please proceed, Mr. Dolly.
First, I want to give you the reasons why I'm carrying this bill. The forest naturally burned every 10 to 15 years before we came and kicked the Native Americans off, and then we cut the trees down, built our cities, used the timbers to shore up our mines, and then the forest grew back. And when the forest was growing back, we then suppressed fire through the Smokey the Bear campaign for about 80 years. And what we have now is a forest that's not resilient to fire. So this bill will go in and take some of that forest residue out. We will use that forest residue to put into cogeneration plants or biomass plants and create renewable energy. So we will increase our water yields out of the forest. We will make them sustainable for critters and wildlife. We will also, it's statewide significance at this reducing the fire. We burned from 2002 to 2013, 8 million acres in the state of California at a cost of $3 billion to CAL FIRE. We need to get ahead of the curve. We need to be able to let fire do what it does in the forest, which is naturally burn at a low intensity rate, leaving those trees alive after the fire goes through, which sequesters carbon. This bill is, we're asking for carbon tax and carbon greenhouse gas reduced funds, and this is an appropriate place for it. I know that it's a big ask, but it's a start in the right direction to help preserve our forest through the Sierras and in the California. I would respectfully ask for an aye vote when it comes time for to come off suspense.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dolly. Witnesses in support.
Thank you. Julie Malinowski-Ball on behalf of the California Biomass Energy Alliance, the sponsors of this bill. Just 2 points I want to make. With each year of the program, we will get, this is an appropriate use of GHG funds, of the auction revenue funds. You'll get 1.5 to 3.5 million tons of GHG reductions from this industry, an additional 1 to 2 million tons of the avoided fossil. So in just the first year of the program, you're going to get $169 million worth of co-benefits, including jobs, payroll, federal environmental benefit and an additional $23 million worth in GHG reductions. This is very cost-effective use of and appropriate use of the cap-and-trade auction revenue. Second point, without these funds, without the state participating in the sharing of this technology, you will actually lose those benefits. You will lose jobs, you will lose the environmental and economic benefit, you'll lose the air quality in the regions in which these facilities are located, and that is unacceptable. We ask for your aye vote when the time is appropriate.
Thank you so much. Next witness in support.
Hugh, you're up.
My name is Hugh Smith. I'm the president and CEO of Greenleaf Power. Greenleaf is a company that owns and operates these biomass to electricity facilities across the state. We have 4 plants in California and an additional plant outside of California. We started this business based on the natural benefits that this provides to Californians across the state from the standpoint of everything from fire prevention to counties that need to divert waste materials to meet their recycle goals, to the agricultural industry that's turning over their crops in historic rates due to the drought and has no place to put the material except open burning it or putting it into these environmentally sustainable ways of recycling that material. And providing renewable energy, which California is on the forefront and progressive in their thinking with regard to. And so with that mindset, we started this business 5 years ago, and with 4 plants are producing a tremendous amount of electricity for Californians. We've shut down 2 of those plants and laid off about 185 employees at this point in time due to the financial stress of the industry. This bill will bolster the existing plants that are here in the state of California, improve the forest health, provide benefits to agriculture, and sustain those jobs that are in place now and bring back the ones that have been lost. I strongly encourage you to support the bill for all of the benefits that this provides the state. It's just simple, good policy.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Just your name, organization, and position, please.
Cindy Hillary on behalf of the 34 rural counties in California in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alice Kessler representing Covanta Energy in support.
Thank you.
Sylvia Solisha on behalf of the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District and on behalf of Kern County in strong support.
Thank you so much. Other individuals from the public in support?
Kirsten Kopicki with the California Forestry Association in support of the bill.
Witnesses in opposition?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Amy Mago on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce. And while the Cal Chamber supports cost-effective implementation of AB 32, the decision of the Air Resources Board to arbitrarily withhold and sell allowances will raise billions of dollars from taxpayers, which runs contrary to the express goals of AB 32, which is to maximize benefits and minimize leakage risks and costs. Cal Chamber has long held that CARB lacks the authority to raise revenue through the auctioning of allowances, and given the legal uncertainties surrounding this funding source, we must respectfully oppose. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance?
No file, Mr. Chair.
No file. Questions or comments from the committee members? Ms. Eggman?
I'd just also like to echo what Mr. Daly has says, but I don't think I'll say critters. But I have 2 plants in my district that need this bill in order to stay open and reopen. People have invested in this. In the Central Valley, farmers have no other options. If they pull out crops, if they pull things out, if they have rubbish that needs to go, they have no other options if we don't have these biomass facilities but to burn them. And we know that just decimates our air quality. This is, I think, a good, sensible, good policy bill, and I highly support its passage.
Thank you, Ms. Eggman. Mr. Wood.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Daly, for bringing this forward. This is an issue in my district as well. We have biomass facilities as well. I think it's important as we look forward to sustainable, renewable energy that we do not ignore the existing technology that's there. As we do research and look for other kinds of technology, I think it's absolutely critical that we look to what we have in existence now and use that for a beneficial use for our forests. So I support what you're doing, and I thank you very much for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Bigelow.
Mr. Daly, once again, you've put a great deal of time and attention into a bill that is much needed for this great state to survive these catastrophic events that are occurring. having these facilities in my district as well. I think it's important for us to move this bill forward and make a wise choice and a wise use of this renewable resource. So thank you, and keep championing this cause, please.
Thank you so much. Any other questions or comments from the committee members? Mr. Daly, would you like to close?
I just appreciate the comments of the members of the committee. I've worked for 20 years on this issue, and this is one of the keys in the toolbox to help get us where we need to go, and I would appreciate your support when it comes time for this suspense file.
Thank you so much, Mr. Daly. Ms. Lopez? Ms. Lopez, you have two bills on suspense. What's your pleasure? How would you like to proceed?
Good morning. I will present 1366.
Thank you so much. Please proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm pleased to present AB 1366. This bill creates Dreamer Centers at California Community College, CSUs, and CS to serve undocumented students. We know that the California Dreamers Act and DACA will expect more undocumented students to enroll in our public college, primarily in community college. We also know that when students face unique barriers, they have more likely to drop in cause the state lost invest they already made. Has the cost for the centers, the analysis state that one-time setup cost for all the three systems is estimated like $7.5 million. This is true. Whatever, I believe the actual amount will be less because the many of the center is already in housing, assistant student service. Today, I had and witness in support to speak about the fiscal impact.
Thank you so much. Your witness in support.
Hi, good morning. My name is Joseph Villala with CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights in Los Angeles. We are one of the proud co-sponsors of this bill. Pretty much what we feel is that for every dollar that the state invests in higher education, it yields about $4 in investment return. Furthermore, there was a study done by UC Berkeley called the California Economic Pays Off. And so what that study did is that it indicated that UCs and Cal State graduates bring to the state about $12 billion every year. This study was done in 2012. Our perception is now that we have a new program for young adults who are undocumented and are able to work. We have to do the best that we can to make sure that they attain higher education. And at this point, we feel that Dream Centers will be that resource for them, not only to ensure that they finish with their four-year college, but then also they go into good professions. And that's why we support this bill and request your support.
Thank you so much. Other witnesses of support?
Gina De Silva with the California Immigrant Policy Center, also in support for reasons mentioned. Undocumented students face different sets of barriers and challenges due to their status, and so we feel it's really important to make sure that they have the appropriate support to continue their education and pursue the career of their choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Individuals from the public in support?
Christopher Extree on behalf of the California Faculty Association in support.
Thank you so much. Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? Department of Finance?
No file.
No file. Questions or comments from the committee members? Seeing none, Ms. Lopez, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you so much. This bill is on suspense. We'll give it due consideration when we take up the suspense file. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chow, you're up. You have two bills on suspense, two consent, one due pass. How would you like to proceed?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The only bill that I will be presenting today is AB 502.
Please proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and members, I am here to present AB 502, which will improve access to dental hygiene care in underserved areas of the state. Registered dental hygienist in alternative practice, or APs for short, are licensed registered dental hygienists with specialized training that would allow them to practice in settings outside of the traditional dental office, such as schools, skilled and residential care facilities, hospitals, and private homes. However, a number of situations result in the reduction of access to these APs. First, California law allows APs to practice in dental health professional shortage areas, or DIPSA for short. However, once the area is no longer designated as a DIPSA, they must close their practice. Second, while some dental insurance companies recognize APs, many insurance companies often deny APs reimbursement for covered services. And finally, the Business and Profession Code authorizes APs to incorporate, but there is no language in the Corporations Code authorizing them to establish corporations, leaving them without any critical protections. AB 502 has minor absorbable costs and would address these issues to ensure that the public has access to quality dental hygiene services by, number one, allowing APs to continue to practice in a DIPSA area so long as they continue to serve underserved populations, and two, requiring insurance companies to reimburse contracted APs for dental hygiene services covered by insurance, and finally, clarifying that the APs are authorized to incorporate under the Corporations Code. I have a couple of witnesses to testify in support of the bill.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Jennifer Tannehill with Aaron Reed & Associates on behalf of the California Dental Hygienists Association. Just want to ask for your support for the bill and let you know that we recently received information from the Office of Health-Wide's statewide health planning and development that there were 18 dental shortage areas withdrawn from 2008 through 2010, and areas can lose their designation by either new providers coming into the area or often by entities failing to reapply to make that area designation, get that designation. So this bill will ensure that should an area lose the designation, the providers there currently would be able to continue to see their patients. So we ask for your aye vote. And today I have with me Maureen Titus with the California Dental Hygienists Association.
Thank you.
Thank you. APs have practiced successfully and safely in California for over 15 years. We need to update our statute to address the roadblocks to care that have come up in that time. I'm available to answer any questions, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you so much. Any other witnesses in support? Individuals from the public in support? Witnesses in opposition? Individuals from the public in opposition? We have a witness in opposition. Go ahead.
Good morning, Chair and members. Brianna Pittman with the California Dental Association. We are here in opposition for mostly policy reasons, but also to raise a number of fiscal concerns. We this week received the information from the author's office on from OSHPD on the number of the DIPSAs that have lost designation. So we're reviewing that and continue or look forward to continuing to work with author. As far as the fiscal concerns, the current language in the bill allows these RDHs who are in alternative practice to continue practicing in a DIPSA if it loses its designation as an underserved area. And we believe that as currently written, these requirements that allow them to do that have really no enforcement or oversight mechanism. And if this provision were to actually have some teeth in it that actually provided some oversight there, we do think that there would be some regulatory enforcement and oversight costs to the state. So we do remain opposed for both policy and fiscal reasons and urge your no vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Department of Finance.
No file, Mr. Chair.
Questions or comments from the committee members? Mr. Jones, Mr. Wagner, and then Mr. Gallagher as well?
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'm sorry if I missed it in your opening. There's some amendments that you're going to take for the bill. Is that right? Or
yes, correct. The amendments actually pertain to the requirement that 40% of the patient population will be coming from the underserved population. So that's one amendment that we're taking. And previously, we also removed a major piece from the bill, and that had to do with the prescription requirements. So that's out of the bill.
Great, thank you. And I'll be supporting the bill today. Thank you.
And these amendments will be on the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to thank the author for bringing the bill forward. There are some concerns CDA has, and I think they can be addressed and maybe grandfather some of these folks in. But I like the idea that we are encouraging at least some care in these underserved communities. And the opportunity for somebody to set up a business there, serve these communities, and then perhaps to suddenly lose the designation and lose the opportunity to continue after having invested in the community and kind of followed our lead in asking that they be done that, I think is sort of unfair to then pull the rug out from under them. So the opportunity to support this bill and to make sure that that doesn't happen is important. But I do appreciate your representation of continued working with CDA. But as the bill stands at this point, and especially with the amendments, very happy to support it, and appreciate you bringing it forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gallagher.
I support the use of APs, to help expand access, especially in rural areas or underserved areas. But I guess my one question here, and I think everybody's on board with this bill except for the one area where, saying that they have to stay certified. Where has that even been an issue? I mean, have we had instances in California where dentists have come into an area that was previously underserved and those people have lost their certification?
Yeah, I think so far, we've had lost 18 of these DIPSAs, just between the year 2008 and 2010. Now, as to what happened to those practitioners who were in these designated areas, we don't know at this point. We're still trying to ascertain that because this is all new information that's came in.
And that's what I'm getting at, is what, are they losing that because they're not keeping up their certification, or are they losing that because a dentist has actually moved into the area now and it's not considered an underserved area?
Let me defer that to my witness.
Yeah, the RDHAP hasn't lost their certification. That's not why they wouldn't be able to practice in the area. The areas, the dental health professional shortage areas, can lose that designation two ways: either by entities not reapplying to have it designated as a DIPSA, or by providers moving into the area and providing enough care. So this bill will make sure that if providers do move into the area and provide that care, that they're not required to stop seeing those patients if the designation is lifted. Otherwise, the shortage just comes back.
Thank you so much for the question and the answer. Mr. Wood.
Yes, I was thinking back, and I appreciate the research, that knowing that there are DIPSAs that have been lost, but the only information we had prior in the other two committees was that there was no loss of any RDHAPs as a result of any of this before. Or actually, this is new information, but there had been no previous loss for an RDHAP in a DIPSA area that might have undergone a change. So that hasn't happened. That still hasn't happened as far as we know. I'm sure you would know about it if it happened.
Right. I agree. When we first brought this bill forward, the whole idea was to prevent this happening if any DIPSAs lost their designation. And now we know, in fact, there have been some DIPSAs that have lost their designation. We don't know how many RDHAPs were impacted by that at this point.
Okay. I would just assume that you probably would know if there were, because prior to that, there were none that you were aware of. So it's a pretty small network of providers. So I have a hard time believing that if a DIPSA designation went away, that you would not know, and a practitioner lost their ability to practice. I have a hard time believing you guys wouldn't know about that. So I appreciate the new information, but I'm still concerned about that part of it, because I feel like we're trying to solve a problem that hasn't affected anybody's ability to practice. The second concern, and I'm laying off the bill today because I still think the concerns I brought up in BNP, that I brought up in health, really haven't been addressed. I think one of the other additional concerns I have is 40% underserved. That's really not defined. In my mind, as we expand the ACA, 40% underserved is probably Medi-Cal. I would really like to see language that reflected that, and how do we then enforce what do we do by underserved? Because this provider designation was specifically developed to serve the underserved, and that definition may change over time. Children were considered underserved. Now with the ACA and the expansion there, they're not considered underserved, but there are children on Medi-Cal that would be underserved. So I'd be looking for a tighter definition. And I'll have to be honest with you, 40%. I'm sorry. If the idea for the RDHAP was to serve underserved populations, 40% isn't acceptable to me. I'd like to see a higher number.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Chow, would you like to comment?
Sure. Absolutely. I am committed to continue working with CDA. As of today, we have not received any language suggested by CDA, but I will continue to work with them as well as my sponsors. And as I mentioned, the amendment that we took really would allow or require these APs to take 40% of the patients from the underserved populations, as mentioned by Dr. Wood. Now, there's no other health profession is required to do that, number one. And according to the most recent study conducted by the California Health Benefit Review Program in connection with this bill, their conclusion was the existing APs are currently serving only 40% of the need. Now, in order to serve the remaining 60%, 200 more providers are needed, in fact. And these are the people who are willing to go to where no dentists are willing to go. And they, and also the study found that 52% of the AP patients in these DIPSAs have no other source of dental care. Now, this is a report that I think you have received as well. Now, to impose a condition that these APs could only serve dental care patients, I think is a little far reach, because it is totally not sustainable for these folks to do that, because the dental care only reimburses $39 once a year per patient for teeth cleaning, and they could take and they would not be able to stay in business if that's the rate. And furthermore, not all of these underserved patients are on dental care. And this includes seniors who are on fixed incomes and people who are in skilled nursing facilities who could not travel to a dental office. And also they would include agricultural workers. So, and also we have currently about 524 active APs in California who serve 598,000 patients each year. And 44,000 of them are served outside of the independent practice offices located in these DIPSAs. So I think it's not a bad idea to be proactive in our approach. And if we need to wait 6 to 9 months to redo the certification, if they lose the designation, then I think we're losing a lot of care for these patients. So this is also a proactive approach. So with that, I'd like to ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. Just one quick comment. There's some issues, I think, with this bill when you have the only dentist in the legislature and the Dental Association also in opposition. You're going to have to work on this. This is not a policy committee. It's a fiscal committee. So we're going to be moving the bill out, but there is a legislative process. Try to address some of the concerns as you move forward. That's just some friendly advice. If not, I think this bill is going to have a tough road over in the Senate. So we have a motion and a second. This bill is out on a B roll call with Jones and I, Wagner and I, and Wood not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.